You could tell that by the lifelike drawing, couldn't you? So I'm not sure I'm quite ready for that because we are brand new. Today we are launching. We've just come out of the wrapper. We've still got those really annoying cable ties fastened to the back of us. That's us. So we're like you, we're innovating. We're hoping to bring something new to market. As the video said, what we do is born out of frustration. There are thousands of people populating national data sets, pushing them into the public domain, and they are impenetrable and unusable. So we've applied ourselves to fixing that. I just want to start quickly by giving an example of something that we do that has nothing to do with our business model, but something that I hope will resonate. So I'm not going to judge any of you. Put your hand up if you've got Just Eat on your phone. Uber Eats. If you use a comparison site. It's great, isn't it? Look at all those restaurants, look at the food hygiene rating, look at the reviews. It's great. If I'm moving house and I want to go to a new GP, can I do that? You can now, because actually we put something in the public domain, free of charge. Yeah, it's available for anyone that wants to use it. Right GP for me. There's 18 different data sets combined in this analysis tool, but anybody can put their postcode in and see within a 10-mile radius which GPs could serve them, what their CQC rating is, what their GP and nursing staffing ratios are, how well they deal with long-term conditions. There's detailed comparisons. There's Ipsos Mori feedback in there. So you can make an informed decision for you or your family relating to your specific needs and register with a GP that's right for you. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because I can do it for a Chinese takeaway. We ought to be able to do it. But the effort to combine the relevant data sets and make them a usable shape has left us with some scars. Martin Livermore talked earlier about upping the tempo. Yeah, we can't just do more of the same or do it faster and get where we need to go. So innovation is critical. And I know there's a gentleman earlier that's got products he wants to take to market. Unless we can get some of this new technology and these new products to market, we simply won't deliver for the population. It's that simple. But when we innovate, the question is, so what? It's great. What is it? Oh, I've got this thing. It's amazing. Actually, it will monitor people at home and it will reduce by 50% the amount of diabetic drugs that person needs to use, and in later life will prevent them going to hospital. It's brilliant. It is, it sounds brilliant. Will it work for me? I think so. Shall we give it a go and run a trial? Everyone was going to trial. Actually, the evidence base in the national data set is there and sufficient for anybody that's innovating with a medical device or product or pharmaceutical solution to play back to the NHS what the likely benefits will be. This is the VUIT portal. This is where our customers access the databases that we've got. And we've just made it a bit easier to access by categorising them. So I'm just going to run you through very quickly. What if? So if we just have we'll have the population. What if we could look at the population of a place? This is Stoke-on-Trent, where I live, and actually we could see at a glance what the age groups, what the populations were, what the diabetes prevalence was. These are LSOAs for those of you that care. Each of these spaces is about 1,500 people. So basically, I'm really interested because I've got a solution, but my solution is brilliant because it'll work when people leave home and go to work. So I'm looking for working age people, these are our working age people, in high diabetes prevalence areas. We've actually analysed that to see if we can understand their ethnicity, because messaging for these products and the benefits will be key if we get people to engage with them in trials. We can also see at the top that actually we know that this area suffers with education, skills and training. So any messages and any recruitment that we'd like to make there, we need to be mindful of people's situation. So this is brilliant. So all of a sudden I can talk to Stoke-on-Trent CCG about my products and say, there's a little patch of Stoke-on-Trent down here that's really prime for this to use. There's a little GP practice down there that I need to go and talk to. What do we know about that GP practice? So actually we've linked all of the GP practices for every LSOA in England, and I can now see the Blurton Medical Centre, which is the one I'm interested in. I can see all the things I talked about and run my right GP for me. So I can understand if that GP is good at managing its diabetic patients, whether it's got access issues or whether it's good at engaging with its people. If we scroll right down to the bottom, I've got some really detailed information about the way it manages long-term conditions. So we've set this to diabetes, and each of these is a QOF indicator for those of you who know, or a practice profile performance metric. So we can see versus the other practices in that PCM, relatively, whether that practice is good at engaging with and managing its diabetic patient. All of a sudden, I'm talking to a commissioner at a very, very granular level about something I've got that I think is brilliant, and I can tell them where we ought to go with it, and how many people are in that footprint for that GP. So I said earlier that actually I can reduce the amount of drug use by monitoring these diabetic patients at home. Can you? Well, how much are they spending at blood? Well, I can tell you that across the CCG, every month they spend £175,000, and that PCN spends £8,500 a month. We can tell you what that practice is costing the NHS in prescribing that diabetic drug to that population, and I'm claiming that I can save half of that. So I've now got a cost-benefit analysis. So for all of you people that have got innovations, actually, VUIT can support you to articulate that benefit really, really clearly. The clinical benefit is not what we talk about. You will have defined your clinical benefit, and that's fantastic in terms of achieving health and well-being outcomes. But fundamentally, you're going to have a money conversation, and we can help with that. The final bit is, and this is the reference cost data, is we talked about that avoidance of admission in later life. So these are the hospitals in Stoke-on-Trent, or the hospital in Stoke-on-Trent. I can tell you that in 2019-20, they did 1,114 diabetes with hypoglycemic disorder admissions of varying acuities, and each of those admissions cost the princely sum of, James, help me? So £12,349 per admission episode. So again, if we're talking about the articulation of the benefit of your innovations, we can drill into multiple levels. First of all, where am I going to go with it? If I can go to one practice with this product, where should I go? We can tell you how we should communicate with those populations. We can give you some information that means that when you are in front of your customer, you will be playing back to them their numbers about what the likely or real benefit that they can expect to realise will be. That's what VUIT is. That's what we do. We are, as I say, brand new. I'm going to answer the question before, I will ask the question before you ask me to ask it. We want you to come on the journey with us because we've got something. We believe that, we really do. We know it can answer some of the questions that we believe are important, but we don't know the questions that are important to you. Our background is typically in acute healthcare and certainly NHS work. This is a new market for us. So if you're seeing something that's interesting, please come and see us. But equally, we need to know from you, based on what you've heard about the data that we are mining and presenting, how can we make it more useful to an industry sector that is mission critical, that this sector moves at pace to bring this stuff to market. But we have to be able to have that meaningful conversation about how it gets bought and paid for. Thank you.